Well, it's good to see you here on a Wednesday. Welcome back to In Session in Arizona versus Tammi Smith. She is charged with conspiracy to commit custodial interference and forgery. The charges are related to the disappearance of this little boy, Baby Gabriel Johnson. Prosecutors are almost done presenting all their evidence. The question is, have they proven their case so far? Here to help answer that question is International Defense Attorney Meg Strickler. And Meg, I want to play some sound real quickly as we get into this from Alicia Shumway. She is a former CPS worker, and here's what she had to say yesterday.
At the end of the time when I was there with them both, I had very firmly and directly informed Elizabeth Johnson that she needed to resolve this matter through the family court proceedings, which had been initiated, and that Tammi Smith was not the custodial guardian of this child and therefore did not need to intervene in that process.
So did you essentially tell Tammi to stay out of it?
Yes, I did.
And you discussed the fact that there were actually court proceedings pending at this time?
Yes.
So here's the thing, basically coming out of that. Elizabeth Johnson allegedly, she went on to say, told Ms. Shumway that Tammi Smith was the temporary guardian. That Elizabeth Johnson had appointed her the temporary guardian. What does that mean, temporary guardian? And what does that give you? What right, authority does that give you?
Well, understand what CPS involved. CPS needed to know all of these things that Ms. Johnson was doing, and that wasn't happening.
Right.
So what's really weird about this case is Tammi Smith is like this outside left field person trying to interfere. They've proven their case just by the statement you just heard in that last testimony. You know, here's this Tammi Smith coming in and saying, trying to adopt this baby all through all kinds of wacko channels, not your normal legal procedures. So by definition, the story that we have here, there's very little evidence need to be proved of custodial interference. It is.
Well, but here's my question. If Elizabeth Johnson told her, I gave her temporary guardianship over him, does that absolve Tammi Smith, though, of custodial interference because the parent willingly said, yeah, you've got guardianship right now?
No, because Logan didn't know about it.
Okay.
The judges didn't know about it. CPS didn't know about it. You can draft a power of attorney. You know, I could write it right now and sign it. Sometimes those documents have, you know, power and can hold, but sometimes they don't. You know, if you write a will on a napkin right before you die, that can last, that can work. But in this context, you have a lot of other parties. The father. You can't give guardianship to somebody temporarily without the father knowing about it.
Now, we're still waiting, obviously, to hear from Tammi Smith. We know that the defense attorney got up there and said she will talk to you. She will tell her story. What do you think the prosecutor doing now, knowing that Tammi Smith is going to get on the stand? What would be the most effective way to cross-examine her?
Oh, this is a fun one. I mean, you get a defendant on the stand and you're a prosecutor, you're always excited. Always excited to cross-examine them, because anybody who tells a story cannot tell a story twice exactly the same. So by definition, a cross-examination is fun. That's why I'm a defense attorney. We have more times to do that than the prosecution does. It's one of the reasons why I like doing what I do. But in this situation, it's really easy to cross-examine her. The prosecution, in my case, in this situation, has the eval that they're going to also bring in. The defense is going to bring a psychological evaluation about Tammi Smith. So they're going to argue kind of two different things. I didn't do it, but I'm a little cuckoo. You know, that doesn't really work too well. So they have to really craft it. They may get away with it. We use evaluations all the time, and we try to use it for mitigation to try to humanize Tammi Smith and explain, I did these 5 things, but I in no way meant to interfere with the custodial, you know, parenting here.
Yeah, how much does that intent come into play when a jury is deciding guilt or not?
And it does come into play. I think that's why they're bringing the psychological person to testify.
But I don't think they can. I just want to ask my producer. I think that they lost that. The judge said they can't bring the psychological.
Oh, I thought they were bringing it
bring
as part of the witnesses. I thought the psychologist was going to come in.
I don't think so. I think
My
the judge
apologies.
said, that's okay. I think the judge said no. And because of that, and that's okay, I mean, things change in court every day. We know how that happens. But now knowing that, how do you think that's going to affect this case?
It makes it more
since
difficult.
the defense can't bring her in. And since the defense cannot bring that psychologist in, and now they have promised you Tammi will take the stand, they can't renege on that, can they?
They can, but it's going to make it really difficult
To win their case.
Exactly, to do your closing arguments, because in the opening, it's kind of a roadmap. The point is, I'm going to do X and Y and Z in this trial. And then in my closing, I always say, hey, I did X and Y and Z. See, this person didn't do it. And in this context, if we say I'm going to give you my client testifying and then we decide not to, it ruins your credibility. It just kind of messes up. Hey, I was expecting that as part of a juror, and you didn't give it to me. And she needs to testify perfectly, and I'm telling you, she won't.
I have nothing to say to that. Okay, so the prosecution you think has proven their case. What does the defense need to do to dilute that and try to win on their side?
They're going to try to humanize it, explain that Tammi Smith was just trying to help. She just wanted a baby, and she in no way was trying to interfere. Is it going to fly? No, but I think that's their defense. They're going to say, look, I'm just trying to get involved here. I was trying to help a baby, and I was trying to go through the legal steps to do this properly. Will that fly? No. The biggest thing I think that hurts her is that forgery aspect.
Yeah, and she's admitted to that.
Exactly.
I know. Well,
exactly.
Well, it still is going to be very interesting because I think people are chomping at the bit to see Tammi Smith
Yes.
take the stand and what is going to happen there.
Yes.
Drama.
Yes.
I'm just betting. I'm betting on it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Meg's going to stick around with us, too. We have more to talk about. But I want to get you back to some testimony from Detective Matt Harris, who, remember, he cannot be shown on camera. So that's why you'll only see his hands and other shots from the courtroom.